Hey guys, what's up? This is Mike here with the watch list video for Tuesday, August 9th, showing you the daily on the SPY. I don't know that you call that a shooting star, but you did kind of have a little mini breakout of the last few days high, and then kind of a reversal went out at the lows. One thing that probably didn't help the market, the gap down in Nvidia, but it ended up looks like doing okay after that. Let me make sure I don't have I do have extended hours on there. Um, so anyway, I made a mistake today that I haven't made in a long time, and it wasn't a bad trade. It was more of a logistical mistake. That's not the right word either. Um, a process mistake. No, that's not the right word either. A moron mistake. That might be the right word. As simple as I was trading something that was what I would call fairly volatile and fairly dangerous, right? So in my mind, no worries. I just took it much smaller, except that I didn't. I thought I did. And then out of the corner of my eye, like a couple minutes later, I see my P&L brightly red. And I realized I had taken what I would call size on that trade, thinking I took a small amount. I don't know how that happened. I have preset quantities and I must have clicked the wrong one. Or I clicked the smaller one and it just didn't register and I thought it did, right? So I ended up with way more shares and kind of had a bottom fallout thing, but I wasn't really babysitting it like I normally would have because I thought I had small shares. So it's a stupid mistake, and I literally spent. You notice I wasn't on the mic much today. I was crabby. I was mad at myself. So I spent the rest of the day, trying to mitigate that ugly red trade, and I ended up with a red day. But I probably made back half of it after spending the entire day doing it. So it's a really stupid way to start a week. But that's right there is enough whining about it, and I'm going to move on, right? So what are we watching for tomorrow? HSCS, really big volume today for this stock. Closing well off its highs, but the other day it popped to 6. Today it popped to what, 425 before closing at 330. I actually made a lot of my money back from my blunder trading pullbacks on this one, right? Five buy zones, that sort of thing. That's probably where I made back most of my money. But I do want to watch this one tomorrow. I think it had a price target put out there by somebody, which was well above where it's trading now. And it's a low floater, so certainly worth keeping on a chart. IVDA tried to break out of this long base today. Kind of zoom in a little bit there. Went up to 213, but closed at 178. Maybe we get a continuation day tomorrow. KOD, you know what? I could probably take this off the list. It's not that interesting, but well, I'll keep it on. KOD popped out of this base today, topped out at 1178, closing at 1111. I'll show you the intraday. So you had the gap up and it sold off and kind of slow climbed. I never took a trade in it. But maybe tomorrow we break today's high and then it might be worth a shot, right? Fubo, it's probably another one I could take off the list. Fubo's been running for like 4 days in a row. Earnings was in there somewhere. Anyway, it's interesting because it broke 4 today. Maybe we get back through 4 tomorrow, and then you've got today's high of 404 to act as another catalyst. But I'm certainly not in love with it. I'm not in love with much today. MYMD, nice little mini breakout today on strong volume for the stock, so we're going to keep our eyes on it tomorrow. SOS, nice little breakout today, and a pretty strong close, so we're going to keep our eyes on that one tomorrow. HLBZ, keep in mind, I'm a day trader. I'm not in anything right now. I'm in cash every night, so these are things that may give us a trade tomorrow if we find an A-plus setup on an intraday basis on one of these. I know it's redundant. I say it all the time, but I never know if somebody's watching a video for the first time, right? HLBZ, nice little breakout. We'll look for a follow-up day there. Coin, again, I don't know. There's no real setup here other than it's a recent high flyer because you had this massive gap up. The news with BlackRock, right? Topped out at 116.30, but sold off that whole day. Then Friday gapped down but found a bid, and then after today, you're kind of in the middle of its 3-day range. So I kind of need Bitcoin to catch a bid, and then maybe we get a nice setup in coin. AIHS, nice breakout today. We'll see if it gets a follow through setup, but it's trading 221, and after hours it was up over 250. So we'll see if it's gapping in the morning. If it is, we'll treat it as a gap play instead. OST IPO'd here and just went nuts, and then came down and went into what I call nothingness. But then a few days ago, it popped to 338 on strong volume, sideways for a few days, and then today actually hit 349. But you can see it closed well off those highs at 280. Anyway, it goes on a chart because I'm a day trader. PGY, after this big run, then you had kind of a sell-off, and you're sort of in the middle of its range from the last few days. I'm just going to treat it like a bounce play. If it, kind of narrow range for a while, and then an upside high of day break, we might have a trade there because you get the crowd go. PGY lights up the new high of day ticker, and the crowd says, "Oh, here goes PGY again," and they pile in. So a lot of times, a setup like this will give you chasers piling in, but it's not perfect. I like the fact that it sold off 3 days in a row here, and I would have loved to gap down the next day. We had it on Bounce Watch when it looked like this, but then what did it do? It gapped up and made it a much just less clean setup. So right now, it's not a very clean setup chart-wise, but I'm going to put it on a chart anyway. MAIA IPO, big 3-day run, and now we're 5-6 days. I've had this on Bounce Watch like 3 days in a row now, and it just isn't setting up, and it just keeps going lower. So now you've almost got a round trip, but we're getting to the point now where people might say, okay, it's back to the IPO day, the open, and maybe we're going to bounce from here. So I am going to keep it on a chart. AMTD just went nuts back here, and pretty much straight down ever since, but right down here to the 20-day. Deserves a Bounce Watch chart as well. QRTEB. I've always been superstitious on stocks that have 5 symbols, 5 letters in the symbol, I should say, but I'm going to put it on watch anyway. You had this massive move back here, and it's been bleeding lower ever since, but you are in that buy zone between the 8 and the 20-day, and it hasn't triggered as a bounce play in a few days, so it's worth keeping on watch. And then lastly, I'm going to put GDRX on Gap Watch. It's trading at 1047 in after hours. I'm assuming they reported in after hours. So we'll keep our eyes on that as a potential gapper. We'll also add other gappers to the list as we always do in the pre-market. And I'm done babbling. I'll see you guys in the chat room in the morning.